My fiancée, Isabel, was getting married. The only problem was I wasn't the groom. When I got to the venue, I saw him standing at the altar, Connor Hill, the one that got away, Isabel's high school sweetheart. Isabel saw me from the stage, her face hardening with irritation. Connor's leaving the country, she texted me moments later. He just wanted a wedding. Why are you here making a scene? She followed it up with another message. Don't worry, I'm still going to marry you. I looked at the disgust on her face, aimed squarely at me, and didn't say a word. I just turned around and went to find my childhood best friend. A few hours later, Chloe posted a picture of our marriage license on her Instagram. On the day of our wedding, Isabel showed up, weeping. Why? She demanded. I just shrugged. Oh, she just wanted a wedding. Why are you making a scene? You may now kiss the bride. Kiss her. Kiss her. The officiant's prompt and the cheers from the crowd confirmed it. This was a wedding everyone was happy to see. If the bride hadn't been the woman I'd been engaged to for 3 years, I might have even clapped along. On the stage, Isabel looked stunning in her white gown, just as I'd always imagined. The perfect makeup, the radiant smile. She was without a doubt the most beautiful bride. The groom was tall and handsome, his tailored suit accentuating his broad shoulders and narrow waist. They looked perfect together. But wasn't the groom supposed to be me? An hour ago, my best friend Jake had called, his voice a mix of confusion and anger. You're getting married and you didn't tell me? What happened to me being your best man? Find a replacement already. That was just Jake's way. We'd been giving each other hell since we were kids, and him being my best man was a given. Except, when did I get married? I shot back, telling him he was losing his mind. But then he sent a picture. Isabel, in her wedding dress, greeting guests at the Grand Hyatt. Still think you're not getting married? His text read. Isn't that your girl? What? Did she decide to marry someone else behind your back? I stared at the photo. Yeah, looks like it. What? Jake was stunned. He wanted to say something comforting, but that wasn't his style. The last thing I heard before I hung up was, dude, don't do anything stupid. I'm on my way to the hotel now. I felt like I was hearing things. By the time I arrived, Jake wasn't there yet. I didn't wait. I walked right in, just in time to see the crowd cheering for Isabel and Connor to kiss. Looking at the woman who had been so affectionate with me, just this morning, a bizarre thought crossed my mind. Has she been possessed? But why Connor Hill? If it had been anyone else, maybe I could have believed this wasn't the Isabel I knew. But it was Connor, her first love, the one that got away. As the crowd roared, they kissed. Jake finally arrived, pulling me into an alcove. That son of a bitch, he seethed, stealing your woman. I'm gonna go up there, and he started to move, but I held him back. This was something I had to handle myself. I told Jake to wait for me outside and found a spot by the side of the stage. Then I called her. It was the part of the reception where guests were coming up to offer their congratulations. Isabel and Connor were standing off to the side. She saw my call, frowned, and declined it. I called 5 more times before she finally deigned to send me a text. In a meeting? What's up? A bitter laugh escaped my lips. I raised my phone and snapped a picture of the stage. After I sent it to her, I watched as her eyes widened in shock. She scanned the room frantically until our gazes locked. Her face went cold. A moment later, my phone buzzed again. What are you doing here? Liam, don't make a scene. Connor's leaving the country. He just wanted a wedding ceremony. It's not real. Just go home. I'll explain later. And don't worry, I'm still going to marry you. She sent me more texts today than she had in the entire past week. I read them, gave her a small, empty smile, and walked out. Jake caught up with me outside. What are you going to do? Wish them well, I said. Jake thought I'd lost my mind to this girl, and maybe he was right. Why else would I have tolerated Connor hanging around for 3 years of our engagement? Back at our apartment, I packed all of Isabel's things into boxes. I called her assistant, gave her an address, and told her to have everything picked up. It was Connor's address. Since they were married now, it didn't seem right for her to keep living with me. An hour later, Isabel called, screaming into the phone. What the hell do you think you're doing? What do you mean? What am I doing? You married another man, and you still expect me to be your backup plan? I shot back. Isabel, you're disgusting. I was done tolerating her. I've been too good to her. So good that she thought I had no backbone, that she could sharpen my kindness into a blade and stab me with it. Liam, you better think this through, she warned. If you're going to be this petty, then I might actually... The moment you chose to give Connor his wedding, I cut her off. We were done. I didn't give her another chance to speak. I hung up the phone and immediately posted on my Instagram story. To clarify, my engagement to Isabel Montgomery is over. My phone blew up instantly. Friends are messaging me, demanding to know what was going on. Someone even tagged her in our group chat. Isabel, what's happening? Is Liam serious this time? I told you giving Connor that wedding was a bad idea. See? Now Liam's pissed. Everyone was on my side, telling her she'd gone too far. But Isabel, with a single message, made her position crystal clear. She wrote, "Connor just wanted a wedding, so I gave him one. It's not like it was a real marriage. I'm still going to marry Liam. You guys don't have to worry. As soon as I go back, he won't be angry anymore." "He won't be angry?" "Isabel, did you really think I was that pathetic?" I blocked her number and drove straight to Chloe's house. When I found her, she was still asleep. Her mom, who's known me my whole life, just waved me toward her bedroom. Chloe, hair a mess and still in her pajamas, stared at me in shock. "Liam, are you insane? What are you doing here?" she mumbled, pulling the covers up. "You can't just show up like this." Chloe had been in love with me for years. I always knew. We were both fools in our own ways. I spent years doting on Isabel, letting her walk all over me, even being polite to Connor for her sake. Everyone in our circle thought I was a total simp, and they weren't quiet about it. I remember once I went to find Isabel at some private club. Before I even reached the room, I could hear them talking about me. Isabel and Connor were sitting together, surrounded by their friends. "Seriously, Izzy, how do you have Liam so wrapped around your finger?" someone asked. "The Sullivans are basically royalty in this city. Liam's going to inherit everything. Marry him, and the Montgomerys will be set for life." "Yeah, for real. And he's not even mad about you and Connor being so close." "Liam? Nah, he won't get mad," another voice chimed in. "He knows Connor is Isabel's best friend. More than a friend, right? He's the one that got away." Someone chuckled. Isabel just blushed and glanced at Connor, not bothering to defend me. I was their running joke. Not only did she not stand up for me, she tacitly approved of their casual humiliation. A part of me went cold that day, but I couldn't let go. I loved her. We'd been together for years. We were engaged. We were supposed to get married. I told myself she was just confused, that she hadn't figured out what was best for her yet. But this wedding to satisfy Connor, this complete disregard for my family's name, was the final straw. I wasn't going to let my parents be humiliated because of my misguided love. They had helped the Montgomerys so much over the years, all for my sake. And how did they repay them? With arrogance and disdain. My parents, who were pillars of the community, treated the Montgomerys with respect, only to be met with condescension. Looking back, none of it was worth it. "Liam, what do you want?" Chloe's voice, sharp with annoyance, pulled me back to the present. I had been standing over her bed in silence. I cleared my throat. I thought about all the stupid, selfless things she had done for me over the years. Maybe choosing Chloe would be better than choosing Isabel. At least with Chloe, I knew I came first. Everything she did was to make me happy. "Chloe," I said, my voice steady, "if I asked you to marry me, would you say yes?" "What?" Chloe, who had been slumped over in a sleepy haze, shot upright, her eyes wide with disbelief. Her reaction almost made me laugh. I guess I could understand. For years, our dynamic was famous in our social circle. Chloe chased me, and I chased Isabel. We were the resident cautionary tales of unrequited love. Simp, love-struck fool. Those were the kinder names they called us. It was like I'd been blind to Chloe's worth. But lately, when I looked at her, I saw a reflection of myself. Yes, a part of me still had feelings for Isabel, but I was done fighting for them. "Marry me," I said again. Are you really giving up on Isabel?" "Yes," I said, but I couldn't lie to her. She deserved the truth. "You don't have to say anything," she interrupted, her voice firm. "I get it, but if you marry me, there's no turning back. And just so you know, I don't tolerate cheating. If you ever step out on me, I will make sure Isabel Montgomery's life is a living hell." That was the Chloe I knew, fiery and decisive. She had softened herself so much for me over the years. I nodded. That afternoon, we went to City Hall. I told Chloe to head to my new house, the one my parents had bought for me as a wedding gift, and start getting settled. I had a few things to take care of first. I didn't expect to find Isabel waiting outside my apartment when I got back. She was trying to punch in the key code. Too bad for her, I'd already changed it. There was no way she was getting in. She spun around, furious, and saw me standing there. "Liam, what is your problem?" she demanded. "Why can't I get in? And what's this about you sending my things to Connor's place? Are you insane?" She unloaded on me, completely ignoring everything I'd already said. I just scoffed, making no move to open the door. "You married Connor," I stated flatly. "Why would your things still be here? Besides, I already announced our engagement is off. You saw the post, didn't you?" I gave her a look of pure contempt. She froze. Then, after a long moment, she let out a short, disbelieving laugh. "Liam, you can drop the act. I know you're just mad about the wedding with Connor. I already explained it to you. You don't need to blow this out of proportion. If you push me away for real, you'll be the one who regrets it." Look at her, so confident. And who gave her that confidence? Me. But But if I truly chose to let go, would she still be so smug? We broke up, I said, my voice cold. Fine, just fine. Isabel shot me a venomous look and stormed off. At the elevator, she couldn't resist turning back for one last shot. Don't come crawling back to me, Liam. I didn't even watch her go. I just opened the door to my now empty apartment and shut it behind me. Not 30 minutes later, a text came in from our mutual friend, Ryan. Dude, is Isabel really with Connor now? He sent me a screenshot of Isabel's Instagram story. It was a professional photo from her wedding with Connor, the caption simple and brutal, married. In the replies, people were asking if she was serious. She confirmed it. Someone asked about me. Her reply, he's just a simp. I don't care. She was right. To her, that's all I ever was. I just wondered if she loved Connor so much, why did she get with me in the first place? The answer came quickly. My parents saw her post and called immediately, demanding to know what was going on. It's over, I said. The engagement is canceled. Are you sure? My mom asked, while I could hear my dad in the background, his voice a low grumble. A classic parental tag team. I'm sure. Good. My dad's voice came through, clear and surprisingly relieved. In that case, we're done with the Montgomerys. I nodded, then remembered they couldn't see me. Yeah, we're done. I never knew the full extent of my family's support for Montgomery Corp, but the excitement in my dad's voice told me it was significant. 3 hours later, I just arrived at the new house when Ryan called again. Did the Sullivans just pull out of all their deals with the Montgomerys? Yeah. Ryan told me that without my family's backing, several major projects Montgomery Corp had been counting on had fallen through overnight. Their entire forecast for the second half of the year had just gone from profit to a catastrophic loss. It was only then that I truly understood. My family was bankrolling theirs. In any normal world, I would have been considered her sugar daddy. But she treated me worse than she would have treated a stray dog. I finally saw it clearly. Isabel only chose me for my family's money and connections. At least I woke up before it was too late. You're back. Chloe had beaten me to the house. As I reached for the door, she opened it from the inside. We stood there for a moment, an awkward silence hanging between us. Newlywed jitters, I guess. My phone rang again. It was Ryan. I answered, but it wasn't him on the line. It was Isabel. Liam, you're not going to help me, are you? Her voice was choked with tears. How could you just abandon me? All of my parents' projects are gone. Sniff. Liam, why would you do this? She was sobbing hysterically. My face hardened. Before I could say anything, Chloe snatched the phone out of my hand. Isabel, what the hell is wrong with you? She snapped. Don't you have your own husband? Why are you crying to mine? Chloe, my hero. I gave her a thumbs up. In the past, I would have been the first to jump to Isabel's defense. Now I felt nothing. Chloe was right. I'd finally been hurt enough to see clearly. You know, Liam, Chloe said, hanging up the phone and turning to me with a sweet smile, this whole not being Isabel's doormat thing looks really good on you. I smiled back, but after a moment, a flicker of worry crossed her face. You're not going to change your mind one day, are you? If anyone had a front row seat to my blind devotion to Isabel, it was Chloe. We grew up together. Isabel was the newcomer. She transferred to our school in 8th grade. I thought she was beautiful and wouldn't shut up about her to Chloe. Look at her, Chloe. Then look at you. You don't have a single girly bone in your body. I'd tease her once. The scornful look I gave her earned me a solid punch in the arm. Chloe had been doing taekwondo since she was 6. It felt like my arm was about to snap. Usually we joke like that. I call her unladylike. She'd call me unmanly. But that day, for some reason, she got genuinely angry. She shot up from her seat. Liam, are you serious right now? We've known each other our whole lives, and you're telling me I'm not as good as her. Whatever. You're a jerk. She was furious. She didn't speak to me for 3 weeks. I finally had to go to her house and beg for forgiveness. Her parents played peacemaker, and she eventually came around. We were fine through middle school. I thought Isabel was pretty, but it wasn't a crush. I didn't fall for her until senior year of high school. The SATs were approaching, but Isabel seemed to stop studying. I was curious, so I followed her after school one day. She was meeting Connor Hill. It was the first time I'd ever seen him. She was clinging to his arm, her head resting on his shoulder. Please don't go, she begged, her voice thick with despair. It was heartbreaking to watch. But Connor gently pushed her away. Your parents don't like me, he said, and I have to go back to my home state. If I don't establish residency, I can't get in-state tuition. Finally, she let him go. I'll wait for you, she whispered. I'll always wait for you. Okay. After he left, Isabel collapsed into tears. I stayed with her all night. That night, I learned everything. Connor was the great love of her life. She was drunk and poured her heart out. She loved him, but her parents would never approve. For people in our world, marriage wasn't about love. It was about alliances. Her parents had already picked out suitable candidates for her, and a guy from an ordinary family like Connor wasn't on the list. I, of course, was on that list. So, a few weeks later, Isabel came to me. She asked me to be her fake boyfriend, to get her parents off her back, and give Connor some breathing room. Like an idiot, I agreed. After graduation, we both got into our first-choice colleges. She was at Barnard, right next to my campus at Columbia. We saw each other all the time. I learned that Connor hadn't gotten into a great school, and his parents were scraping everything together to send him to study abroad. Isabel was against it, but Connor told her, "Your parents gave my parents money. They said I have to go. If I don't establish residency, I can't get into any college in the country." Isabel was furious when she found out what her parents had done. She didn't blame Connor. She blamed them. I was there for her through it all, and she slowly started to heal. Then, junior year, she asked me to be her real boyfriend. What about Connor? I asked her, "Are you over him?" "Yes," she said firmly. "I don't love him anymore. He gave up on me, and I'm done waiting." So we got together. It felt natural, inevitable. But the very next day, Chloe confessed her feelings for me. Isabel gave Chloe zero respect. In front of a dozen people, she pulled me in for a deep kiss and then smirked at Chloe. "Liam's my boyfriend," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "What? Are you trying to be a homewrecker?" Chloe just stood there, stunned. I saw tears welling in her eyes, and I wanted to say something to comfort her. Our families were so close. We lived on the same block. Our parents had even joked about us getting married one day. From Chloe's perspective, we were supposed to end up together. If it weren't for Isabel, maybe we would have. But now everything had changed, and she was the last to know. "Don't think that just because you grew up with him, he's yours," Isabel taunted. "He's mine." I knew it was wrong, but Isabel didn't see it that way. After Chloe ran off crying, I pulled Isabel aside. "Isabel, you know that Chloe and I—" "Enough, Liam," she snapped. "I like you, and I want to be with you. I'm with you because I thought you liked me back. But if you're going to stay tangled up with Chloe, if you're going to tell me you can't give up your female friends even when you have a girlfriend, then we might as well break up right now." She was angry, and she demanded that I cut Chloe out of my life. She wasn't totally unreasonable, she said. "Normal group hangouts are fine, but no more one-on-one time." Back then, I was so blinded by what I thought was love that I saw her jealousy as proof of her affection. I agreed. From that day on, Chloe and I drifted apart. Isabel was wonderful to me, and I fell deeper in love. So when she asked me to have my family help hers, I went to my parents without a second thought. At first, they refused. "The Montgomerys are small-time players," my dad had said. "Why should Sullivan Court bail them out?" "Dad, Mom, I love Isabel," I pleaded. "We're together now. We're going to get married. Helping them is helping your future daughter-in-law." It took a lot of persuading, including the threat of a hunger strike, but they finally agreed to guide the Montgomerys to bring them into some of our ventures. But once you give an inch, they take a mile. The Montgomerys' demands grew and grew. By the time Isabel and I graduated from college, their company had a solid foothold in the industry, all thanks to my family. But they weren't satisfied. They wanted more. My parents were already annoyed, and it got worse after a gala where they overheard Isabel's parents bragging that their success was all due to their own hard work. They completely erased my parents' contributions. That night, my parents confronted me, furious. I was upset too, so I went to Isabel, but she just started crying. She said that since Sullivan Corp was helping them without any formal partnership, her parents couldn't exactly go around announcing it. Somehow, she twisted it until it was my family's fault. That's when we got engaged. To make it official. After that, the Montgomerys started leeching off my family shamelessly. They treated my parents' resources as their own, even getting picky about which projects they deigned to accept. A steady stream of opportunities flowed their way. But my relationship with Isabel deteriorated, especially after the engagement. She became cold and distant. It was a complete reversal from before. I felt it, but I didn't want to believe it. We continued like that for 3 years. If I hadn't heard her talking behind my back, I might have kept lying to myself. "So, how are we sleeping tonight?" Chloe asked, blushing as she cleared her throat. Her question pulled my thoughts back to the present. I looked up at the second floor of the massive house at the master bedroom. Without a word, I took her hand and led her upstairs. It was time to start thinking about myself. Chloe was the one who was right for me. Growing up in school, she was always on my side, always uncompromisingly loyal. If I had to choose one person to marry, it should have been her all along. "We're married," I said simply. "We sleep together." The blush on Chloe's cheeks deepened to a crimson red. After we both showered, I found her already in bed, her back turned to me, pretending to be asleep. I smiled at her silhouette, then climbed in beside her. I slept better than I had in years. When I woke up, I was holding her. We opened our eyes at the same time. Seeing my arm around her, she blushed again. For all her bravado, Chloe was still so innocent when it came to romance. If I remembered correctly, she'd been single all these years, never even dated anyone. After I started dating Isabel in college, I saw Chloe less, but Jake still kept me updated. Chloe was smart, funny, and beautiful. Plenty of guys asked her out, but she turned them all down. Jake would sigh dramatically. Liam, you're an idiot. You got a diamond like Chloe right there, and you choose that. That snake. Hey, watch your mouth. I'd snap back. I knew my friends didn't like Isabel. They all thought she was using me. Deep down, I sensed it too, but I was too in love to care. After getting with Isabel, I drifted from my old friends. Your friends don't like me, she'd said. I don't want to see them. Okay, I'd agreed. A complete and utter simp. I swear I wasn't always like that. It developed over time. My devotion to Isabel made her and her family feel entitled. So when news of Connor's return reached us, Isabel didn't even try to hide her reaction from me. Isabel, did you used to know a guy named Connor Hill? It was our friend Ryan. He just found out that Connor was the project lead on a deal he was working on. He'd done a background check, saw he knew Isabel, and was hoping to get an in. But at the mention of Connor's name, Isabel let out a bitter laugh. He's a bastard. You're better off staying away from him. Got it. Ryan didn't know Connor was her great lost love, but I did. I didn't show any reaction at the time, but after we left the club, I saw the sadness in her eyes. For the next few weeks, she was distant, always making excuses not to be with me. I followed her one day and found her following Connor. Eventually, Connor noticed her. He explained what had happened all those years ago, and the two of them looked like a pair of star-crossed lovers reunited. I wanted to storm over there so badly, but I didn't. That night, I laid it all on the table. Now that Connor's back, we should just break up, I said, my voice calm, as if I'd been expecting this all along. But Isabel got angry. What's that supposed to mean? You don't trust me. You want to see him behind my back. You should have expected me not to trust you. If she had just been honest with me, told me she still had feelings for him, I would have let her go. But the deception was what made me sick. To my surprise, she doubled down. I just want to know what really happened back then. I'm your fiancé now. Why would I get back with Connor? She went on and on that night. The bottom line was always the same. She would never break up with me, and Connor was in the past. God, I was so happy to hear that. It was the happiest I'd been since I learned he was back. But a woman's words can be deceiving. I trusted her, and she betrayed that trust. Connor slowly worked his way into Isabel's inner circle. When her parents found out he was back, they were furious and sent people to rough him up and get him fired. When Isabel found out Connor had almost lost his job because of her, she went straight to her parents. I went with her that day. Her parents were superficially polite to me, welcoming me warmly into their home. Liam, so good to see you. How are your parents? They're great, I replied, making small talk for a few minutes. After the pleasantries were over, I looked at Isabel. She was standing there with a stony expression, clearly waiting for us to finish. The moment my attention shifted to her, she glared at her parents. What is wrong with you two? Isabel, what's wrong with you? How can you speak to your mother like that? Her father scolded. But Isabel didn't care. You know I'm engaged to Liam. Connor and I were just classmates. Why are you going after him? Why can't you just leave him alone? That's enough. Her words finally pushed her parents over the edge. They might not respect my family behind our backs, but they always kept up appearances. For Isabel to defend another man in front of me was unacceptable. Do you even remember you're engaged to Liam? Her father demanded. You're standing here, in front of your fiancé, defending another man. Have you given any thought to Liam's feelings? His words made Isabel spare me a single glance, but that was all. I'm engaged to Liam. So what? I can't have my own friends. Are you just friends? Of course. Mom, Dad, if I still had feelings for Connor, I wouldn't be with Liam. Then she turned to me. Liam, I swear to you, Connor and I are just friends. Okay, I said. I believe you. With my support, her parents promised they would leave Connor alone. In theory, that should have been the end of it. But that incident only brought Isabel and Connor closer. She started bringing him to events. When I found out, I was furious. After their old classmates started teasing them about getting back together, I went home and confronted her. I thought you said it was nothing. You don't believe me? Liam, you know Connor has no one else here. If it weren't for my parents, his life wouldn't be so hard. Shouldn't I help him? She argued. You're disappointing me, Liam. If I wanted to be with Connor, would I have gotten engaged to you? We're about to be married, and you doubt me? We fought, and it ended badly. We eventually made up, but we never spoke of Connor again. Then, this year, Connor announced he was leaving, moving abroad permanently. He said the wedding with Isabel was just a dream from his youth he wanted to fulfill. It all seemed so plausible, so reasonable. Except for me, the groom's clueless fiancé. But now, the dust has settled. I chose Chloe. and I won't let her regret it. After we got married, I wanted to tell our parents right away, but Chloe asked for a month. Liam, I really do love you, and I want to be with you more than anything, she said, her expression serious. But I want you to be sure. We're married now, and a divorce requires a cooling-off period. I'm giving you 1 month. If, after a month, you still want to be with me, then we'll tell our parents. Even though I was certain of my choice, I agreed to her terms. I used to be Isabel's simp, orbiting her every move. Now I just wanted to be myself. Back at the office, my assistant brought me a contract. Mr. Sullivan, the contract for the office supplies is up for renewal. Here's the new one. Supplies? A memory clicked. This was another contract I'd arranged to help out the Montgomerys, signed with one of Isabel's relatives. People in the office had been complaining for months that the quality of paper and toner had gone way down. I'd mentioned it to Isabel before, telling her to ask her relative to stop cutting corners. I remember her reaction clearly. She got furious. Liam, what are you trying to say? That my family is taking advantage of you. That's not what I meant. Just what? She'd snapped, glaring at me until I dropped it. After that, she'd given me the cold shoulder for days, then guilt me into introducing even more clients to her relative. Even Jake's company was using them now. Not anymore. Put out to bid, I told my assistant. We're not renewing with this vendor. Oh, but sir, isn't this? She trailed off, probably about to say it was Isabel's family, but then remembered the breakup. She just nodded and took the contract away. 3 days later, Isabel's relative stormed into my office. He was a big, loud man who carried himself with an unearned swagger. Liam, what's your damn problem? He bellowed. Putting the contract out to bid? Are you doing this on purpose? I looked at the oaf in front of me, and my expression soured. Get him out, I said to my assistant, my voice ice cold. And in the future, don't let people like this into my office. My assistant, realizing I was genuinely angry, quickly tried to escort the man out. Hey, Liam, don't forget I'm Isabel's uncle, he shouted as he was being pushed toward the door. You treat me like this, you think she's still going to marry you? Threatening me with that? I couldn't help but laugh. I beckoned to my assistant. It seems you and Isabel aren't that close. What's that supposed to mean? You didn't know? Isabel got married. Married? Isabel's uncle looked at me in disbelief. The panic lasted only a second before his arrogance returned. Well, if you're married, you should be treating me even better. His smug expression was so ridiculous, it was almost funny. He really had no idea. I nodded slowly. Isabel got married. But what does that have to do with me? Why should I treat you better? You married Isabel, so you should be showing us some respect. Ha, I laughed out loud. You really don't know, do you? Isabel didn't marry me. What? It finally dawned on him that something was very wrong. He stared at me, dumbfounded. I stood up and decided to do him one last favor. Isabel married Connor Hill. If you have a problem, take it up with him. I had her uncle thrown out. I knew this was just the beginning. From now on, any person or business connected to the Montgomerys would be evaluated on merit alone. If they were competent, they stayed. If not, they were gone. The consequence was that my parents had to endure daily harassment from Isabel's parents. One day, I was planning to take Chloe over to my parents' house for dinner when my mom called. The second I answered, I was met with her frustrated voice. You canceled the engagement, but did anyone tell Isabel? Of course she knows, I said. She married her high school sweetheart. I hadn't told my parents about the wedding, but it seemed I had no choice now. My mom's tone shifted instantly. Are you serious? I sighed and sent her a few photos from the wedding ceremony. What happened? I asked. The Montgomerys were at the Chamber of Commerce gala tonight, telling everyone you cheated on Isabel with Chloe and abandoned her. According to them, I was a heartless monster who threw away a 3-year engagement, and my family were villains for supporting me and sabotaging their business. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. Mom, are you still there? Yes. Okay, I'm sending you a video. Have the event staff play it on the big screen. All right. If Isabel wanted to play dirty, then I had no reason to protect her reputation any longer. Half an hour later, I arrived at Chloe's workplace. Her family's company was successful, but Chloe hated being tied down, so she worked somewhere else. Luckily, she had an older brother ready to take on the family mantle, leaving her free to pursue her passions. She was an artist in an animation studio, doing what she loved. She used to tell me that drawing was the only thing that could quiet her mind. She was incredibly talented. I remember in high school, she drew a portrait of me. When I first saw it, I was stunned. I had never imagined I could look so handsome, so full of life. Liam, she had said back then, you're the best person I've ever met. To her, I was always the best, but I felt like I didn't deserve it. All those years I was with Isabel, I ignored Chloe, and a few times I even hurt her because of Isabel. You're here. Chloe threw her arms around me, her face beaming. I snapped back to the present and smiled back at her. Chloe, I was just thinking about high school. You used to secretly draw me all the time, didn't you? I finally called her out on it. She cleared her throat. Yeah, what about it? Are any of your animated characters based on me? The thought had just occurred to me the moment I saw her. She seemed surprised by the question and didn't know what to say. After a long pause, she finally looked at me. Yeah, you. You knew. So was true. I gently squeezed her cheek. Which one? Chloe took a deep breath, her eyes darting around before she finally led me into her company's main studio. While this wasn't her family's business, it was an affiliated company. She hadn't pulled any strings to get the job, though. She'd worked her way up and only revealed her identity after she'd become a top artist. Now, she was both a creative powerhouse and the studio's biggest benefactor. So, bringing an outsider like me in was no problem. What I didn't expect was for the entire room to stand up the moment I walked into her office space. Suddenly, I was surrounded. To be honest, I'm not used to being the center of attention. For years, my world revolved around Isabel. Even though my family was one of the most powerful in the city, I never acted superior. But now all these eyes were on me, scrutinizing me. I felt like a bug under a microscope. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. So you're Liam? Hey, it's him. Whoa, he's real. Let me see. Does he really look like the character in Chloe's comics? A few of them got closer, practically measuring me. 6'1". Check. 180. Check. Okay, who's going to check for abs? One of them joked, and another actually reached out. That was my limit. I dodged, and the group erupted in laughter. Just then, Chloe emerged, holding a sketchbook and a tablet. Seeing me cornered, she rushed to my side like a protective mother hen. What are you all doing? Chloe, is this really Liam? All right, everyone, back to work, she ordered, shooing them away. I finally let out a breath of relief. She led me into a small conference room, nervously peeking outside to make sure no one was following before she finally relaxed. They didn't give you a hard time, did they? They all know who I am. I tried to imagine what Chloe had told them about me. She didn't hide anything. She explained that everyone knew she was in love with me, and that I was the model for many of her male protagonists. It took half an hour for me to fully grasp the depth of Chloe's love for me over the years. Liam, you always knew I loved you. Even when I knew your heart belonged to Isabel, I still chased you. Even when Isabel told you to stay away from me, I couldn't help myself. You know, she said, her voice light but her eyes betraying the pain. At my lowest points, I would just wonder, why can't I get over you? She said it so casually, but I could feel the years of heartache behind her words. I've been there too. Wasn't my devotion to Isabel just as all-consuming as hers was for me? I pulled her into a hug and held her for a long time. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty, she said, her voice muffled against my shoulder. I just want you to know that you made the right choice. By choosing me, no one will ever call you a simp again. My Chloe, how could she always be thinking of me first? What happened today solidified my decision, and it made me realize that maybe my feelings for Chloe weren't entirely one-sided after all. As I was leaving her office, I got a text from my mom. She was rarely this cheerful on text. As the wife of a powerful man, she was always composed and elegant. But today, she was sending strings of laughing emojis, like a teenager. I had no idea what had gotten into her, so I video called. My dad was next to her. Dad, what's wrong with your wife? Why is she so happy? It was your video. It gave your mother the last laugh. The video. It took me a second to remember the clip of Isabel and Connor's wedding. What? Did it work? Did it work? It was a knockout punch, my dad exclaimed. Son, why didn't you send that earlier? We could have shut those Montgomerys up ages ago. Exactly. Do you have any idea how much grief those two have given me lately? My mom added, fanning the flames. My dad just egged her on, not caring about my feelings in the slightest. I sighed. Dad, just tell me what happened. The result is, my dad couldn't even finish his sentence because my mom started laughing again. Finally, they just told me to check online. That's when I saw that the whole affair had blown up. Isabel's accusations against me had been a deliberate public attack. I was starting to suspect she never even believed Chloe and I were really married. Even after Chloe had told her in no uncertain terms to stay away from her husband, Isabel refused to believe it. She'd sent me a text from a burner number right after. Liam, I can't believe how pathetic you are. You're really dragging Chloe into this just to make me think you're over me? How ridiculous. Everyone knows she's your little puppy dog. If you want to put on a show, you should have at least picked someone I don't know. Reading that, I had to laugh. I didn't bother replying. Let her believe what she wanted. Now, looking at my phone, the top trending topics were all about her. The narrative had flipped completely. She was being called out for not appreciating what she had until it was gone. Commenters were saying my new relationship was none of her business, and her actions constituted harassment. The more she had painted me as the villain, the harder the backlash against her was now. The video I sent my mom was the nail in the coffin. It had opened floodgates on Isabel and Connor's entire history. The internet is a powerful thing. People didn't just uncover their past relationship. They found things even I didn't know. Like how Isabel had never really cut off contact with Connor. During the years he was abroad, she would use business trips as an excuse to go see him. They must have felt invincible overseas because there were pictures of them being incredibly affectionate in public, hugging, kissing, full-on French kissing. There were even some risque photos floating around. As I scrolled through it all, I expected to feel a pang of sadness or anger, but I didn't. I felt relieved. It was like every picture, every video was another piece of evidence confirming that I had made the right choice. Chloe, who was driving, glanced over at me, smiling at my phone. We were at a red light. "What are you looking at that's making you so happy?" "You'll see later," I said, being mysterious. She didn't press. According to my mom, as soon as she got the video, she had it played without a moment's hesitation. The Montgomerys were in the middle of their tirade at the gala, every word a condemnation of my family. As one of the city's leading families, we had our fair share of rivals. The Montgomerys' accusations, true or not, were a perfect opportunity for others to kick us while we were down. That's why my mom had been so furious. I always said that Liam Sullivan kid was no good. Exactly. On the screen, my video started playing. It was a recording I'd made of a phone call. Isabel's voice filled the ballroom. "I'm telling you, I never loved you, Liam. It was always Connor. But I knew you loved me, so I chose you. Do you have any idea how much I owe Connor? And now I can't even help him. I'm just giving him a wedding ceremony. Why are you so upset about it? You're so petty, Liam. Not like a real man at all." The audio drowned out the murmurs in the room. All eyes turned to the massive screens. The video was a compilation. The first part was clips of her telling friends I was a simp, that she didn't love me, that she only loved Connor. The last part was from our final confrontation. My voice. "I'm only going to ask you this once, Isabel. Are you sure you want to marry Connor?" Her voice, full of annoyance. "Yes." "God, you're so irritating." In the video, I smiled at her. "Then we're breaking up." "Don't you dare regret this," she'd said, smugly, as if she couldn't fathom that I was serious. She always thought I couldn't live without her. Now, she had everything she wanted, so how could she allow her parents to twist the narrative and play the victim? "Turn it off. Turn that video off right now." The Montgomerys started screaming, but by the time they reacted, the second part of the video was already playing. It was a short, personal statement from me. "Isabel, I'd like to think I've treated you well over the years. My parents have treated your parents well, but your family has been like a pack of leeches, draining my family dry. My parents only tolerated it because of me. I thought that if I was good enough to you, I could win your love. But all you ever gave me in return was a license to trample all over my kindness. I think it's time we cut ties for good. Since you're already married to Connor, I wish you both the best." No, that's not it. Isabel, who was there at the gala, started shaking her head frantically, trying to explain. "We only had a ceremony. We're not legally married." But no matter how she tried to spin it, everyone in that room now knew the truth. Even the people who had been eager to slander my family were now backing away. The one thing the old money circle despises is a parasite. Isabel's behavior was social suicide. The Montgomerys' attempt to condemn us had backfired spectacularly. They had become the villains of the story. My parents left the gala with their heads held high. Before they walked out, my father issued a final warning to the Montgomerys. "Say one more bad word about the Sullivan family, and we will make sure you never recover." Then to the crowd, he announced, "For the record, the Montgomery family's affairs have nothing to do with the Sullivans from this day forward." With that one statement, the Montgomerys' entire network of business connections evaporated. Especially now that their dirty laundry was all over the internet, there was no saving their reputation. Sullivan Corp pulling its support was just the beginning. All their pending projects were now dead in the water. My parents had said that without our help, the Montgomerys would just fade away. I never realized that was an understatement. After the gala, my relationship with Chloe grew even stronger. The Montgomerys were social pariahs. They couldn't land a single new deal, and even families who had been close to them were now cutting all ties. The only thing they could do was harass my parents. Their previous arrogance was replaced by desperate begging. I saw them once when I was going home. The two of them were kneeling outside my family's gate, chanting apologies. "We were wrong. We were so wrong. Charles, please, I'm begging you. Charles, please, you have to help us." Isabel's father, a man who used to ooze arrogance, now looked like a beggar who had been kicked to the curb. They used to be so polished and glamorous, but now they looked worse than ordinary people. I was going to just ignore them, but as I walked past, Isabel's mother saw me. She scrambled to her feet and dropped to her knees in front of me. Liam, you're here. Look, your parents know we were wrong. Can't you please talk to them? Ask them to forgive us. Her eyes were wide with a sickeningly sweet plea, a stark contrast to her usual condescending attitude. Disgusted, I pushed her hand away and called security. This family has no connection to the Sullivans, I said firmly. Don't let them on the property again. Ignoring their wails, I went inside. My parents saw my reaction and seemed finally convinced that I was truly over Isabel. They even threw a small party to celebrate. It felt a little strange, this delayed celebration of my freedom, but I accepted, and I invited Chloe. At dinner, my parents were overjoyed to see her. Son, you finally came to your senses. You finally see how wonderful Chloe is. Humph, came a grunt from Chloe's father. Chloe's mom, who had been smiling, shot her husband a look and smacked his arm. What was that for? Don't be a killjoy. Our daughter is a catch, he grumbled. Every time I think about how this idiot used to dote on that Isabel girl, I get angry. His words filled me with guilt. In front of all four of our parents, I made a promise to Chloe that I would spend the rest of my life making her happy. But Chloe just smiled. Liam, you haven't forgotten our deal, have you? 1 year. What 1 year? A chorus of four voices asked. All eyes were on us. We decided not to hide it and explained the 1-year trial period Chloe had proposed. My parents immediately started singing my praises. He's really learned his lesson this time. He won't be fooled by Isabel again. Chloe, you can't give up on him. No, I think my daughter's right, Chloe's dad said. It's a good call. It should teach this young man that if you want the best, you have to earn it. You're right, sir, I agreed. I knew he wasn't truly angry, just protective of his daughter. The rest of the dinner was happy. My family was thrilled, and Chloe's family seemed pleased, especially her mom. When I went to the restroom, she followed me out. She was waiting for me in the hallway. Liam, she said, her tone serious, I have something to tell you, and I hope you won't take it the wrong way. Seeing how serious she was, my own expression grew solemn. Of course, Mrs. Davis. What is it? We've always known that for years, you were the only one on Chloe's mind. And honestly, from the beginning, your father and I thought you two were perfect for each other. So when you came to her, we were thrilled. But, you know what happened between you and Isabel is still there. So Mrs. Davis, I interrupted gently. I understand completely, but what I want to say is, I can actually start calling you Mom. What? She stared at me, completely baffled. I glanced around the empty hallway and pulled the folded marriage license from my wallet, handing it to her. Chloe and I are already married. I want to make it public, but Chloe insisted on a 1-year trial period to test me. I know she's worried I'll go back on my word, but I won't. You know me. Once I commit to something, I see it through. I laid out my feelings, my conviction, for her to see. As I spoke, her eyes filled with tears. I spent the next few minutes comforting her. Okay, she finally said, wiping her eyes. I believe you. After dinner, Chloe and I drove back to our place. The whole way we were laughing and talking. I had already decided that tonight, I was going to take our relationship to the next level. If I hadn't seen Isabel waiting at the gate to our driveway, my mood would have remained perfect. The moment I saw her, I instinctively tightened my grip on Chloe's hand. Isabel was sitting on the curb, looking pitiful. But when she saw my car, she shot up like she'd been given a jolt of electricity and ran towards us. Worried she was going to throw herself at me, I pulled Chloe back and dodged out of the way. Isabel, having missed her target, was furious. She stood there, weeping, and demanded, What is wrong with you, Liam? You promised you would always protect me, always be there for me. What is this now? You're really choosing this. This pathetic groupie over me, she shrieked, her hateful glare fixed on Chloe. It seemed she was only now starting to believe that Chloe and I were for real. I looked at her coolly, a smirk playing on my lips. Isabel, we broke up. You remember that, right? She was speechless. Chloe just rolled her eyes. Listen, I'm telling you this once. Liam and I are legally married. If you keep harassing my husband, I can and will file a restraining order. Husband? Isabel looked at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. Chloe stepped between us, blocking her view of me. You don't believe it? She turned and gestured to me. Show her. Huh. For a second, I didn't know what she meant. Chloe looked back at me. I saw it. You have the marriage license with you. Of course. I quickly pulled it out of my wallet and flashed it in Isabel's face. See this? I'm Chloe's husband now. Stop being so shameless and get over yourself. I must have been blind or stupid to ever choose you. Now, my world begins and ends with Chloe. The anger I'd been suppressing finally boiled over. I hadn't planned on losing my temper, but Isabel was just too much. I needed to give Chloe security. I needed to show her, and everyone else, that choosing her wasn't some rebound. It's true that I was good to Isabel, but there's a saying, when you've collected enough disappointment, you leave. And the quietest departures are the most final. My love for Isabel died from 1,000 cuts. If she hadn't been stringing me along, using my family's money while carrying on with Connor, I might have been able to walk away with less bitterness, even as the one being used. With a final defiant glare, Chloe and I walked past Isabel and went inside. We had shown her our marriage license. She just stood there, sobbing. As we closed the door, we could hear her crying that she knew she was wrong. I did what I had to do. I called security and had them remove her, telling them she was not to be allowed on the property again. I thought that would be the end of it, that she would finally get the message. But instead, the harassment escalated. She started calling from block numbers, and then she started showing up at my office. It was a complete role reversal. I used to be the one waiting for her after work, driving her wherever she wanted to go. Now, she was the one doing it. She would appear wherever I was, acting as if I was happy to see her, completely ignoring my cold indifference. One evening, I walked out of my office building, and she was there, her face lighting up. "Liam, you're done for the day. I was thinking we could get seafood tonight. I made a reservation at your favorite place." Seeing her smiling at me, trying so hard to win me over, I had a laugh. The old Isabel would have considered smiling at me a luxury. Now, it was the only expression she dared to show me. It turns out karma is a funny thing. I had always thought Isabel had no idea about my likes or dislikes. I never even knew she knew what I liked to eat. I remember wanting to tell her so many times, I don't really like Korean barbecue. I love seafood. Can we go get seafood sometime? But I never even dared to ask. And now, today, I learned that she knew all along. Seeing me just standing there, she must have thought her plan was working. Her smile widened. "Don't worry, I already called ahead. They're preparing everything with the freshest ingredients. If we leave now, we can be eating in less than half an hour." I snapped out of my daze and looked her up and down, then let out a cold laugh. "So you knew I liked seafood?" My question made her freeze. She probably didn't expect me to remember. But how could I forget? I'm a picky eater. I hate fatty meat, and I especially can't stand barbecue. It started as a dislike and eventually became a genuine aversion. When Isabel and I first started dating, I told her this. Her response was, "That's okay. I love barbecue. You can come with me, and after we're done, we can go get you something you like." Back then, she still treated me decently, not completely as a placeholder. But even so, she never once wanted to get seafood with me. In the beginning, I held out hope that she would remember what I liked. It's ironic that she only remembered after we broke up. "Liam, I know I was wrong before. I made a mistake, but Isabel." A voice from behind me cut her off. A smile crept onto my face. "He's here, and right on time. Worried I might actually take his wife back." "Isabel, what are you doing?" The newcomer was none other than Connor Hill. Since his wife was harassing me, it only seemed fair to let him know. Isabel seemed shocked to see him. She froze, then looked at me with an expression of betrayal. I just stared back at her coldly. "Why are you looking at me? Look at your husband." "Isabel, you promised you wouldn't contact Liam again," Connor said, his voice filled with hurt. He looked genuinely wounded. "Not my problem. I took the opportunity to make my escape. I had promised Chloe I'd meet her to try on wedding tuxes, and I didn't want to be late. When I got to the bridal shop, Chloe was already there. Jake and Chloe's best friend, Maya, were there too. They were our best man and maid of honor. The moment I walked in, they both shot me a death glare. Something was wrong. Very wrong. I cleared my throat and nudged Jake. "What's up? Why are you late?" "I'm not late," I protested. I had checked the time right before I came in. We were supposed to meet at 6:30, and it was only 6:26. But to Jake, my words were just excuses. He frowned. "Man, I really thought you were over Isabel. I can't believe you're still seeing her behind Chloe's back." The more he talked, the more confused I got. I finally got him to tell me what was going on. What he said next made my blood boil. It turned out Isabel had been contacting Chloe repeatedly. Right before I arrived, Isabel had called Chloe, sobbing. "Please, don't take Liam from me," she cried. "We were going to get married. We were engaged for 3 years. What you're doing makes you a homewrecker. You know that. Do you know he's with me right now? I'm telling you, he's not coming to meet you." Chloe had obviously been shaken by the call. Maya had cursed Isabel out and was trying to comfort her friend. But Chloe had just said, "I'll wait for Liam. If he's not here by 8, then I'll leave." Look at my Chloe. So good to me. Even after Isabel's vicious lies, she was still willing to give me the benefit of the doubt. Thank God I showed up on time, or I would have walked right into Isabel's trap. I swore to Jake that I had absolutely no feelings left for Isabel. Don't forget, I said, I'm the one who went to Chloe. You know what kind of person I am, don't you? My question made Jake pause. After a long moment, he looked at me seriously. All right, man, I'm on your side this time, but don't let me down. I'm trying to get with Maya, you know. Hearing that, I couldn't help but roll my eyes. So that's what this was about. Not my happiness, but his chance with Maya. Maya was Chloe's best friend, our maid of honor. I had noticed the way Jake was looking at her. Well, good for him. Maya didn't seem to hate him, so maybe they had a shot. Just then, the dressing room curtain opened and Chloe walked out with Maya by her side. Dressed in a flowing white gown, Chloe was breathtaking. She was tall and elegant, and the delicate makeup made her beautiful features pop. I had known Chloe my whole life, but I had never really seen her as a woman. I had overlooked so many of her qualities. She was a true beauty inside and out. I was completely captivated. If Jake hadn't shoved me, I would have just stood there, frozen. Dude, what are you doing? Go try on your tux, he said, snapping me out of it. I hurried over to Chloe and gently patted her head. My wife is beautiful. After the fitting, we had to book the venue. Wedding planning was stressful, but Chloe and I were having the time of our lives. Isabel stopped showing up after that day, but I was kept well informed of her situation, thanks to Ryan. He kept stopping by my office, casually bringing up Isabel's misfortunes, clearly trying to gauge my reaction. I made it clear every time that I was completely done with her, but he never seemed to listen, continuing to feed me updates. For instance, Montgomery Corp had filed for bankruptcy, and creditors were hounding them. They were camped outside the Montgomery's house day and night. When they had nowhere else to turn, Isabel's parents threw her to the wolves. Here's our daughter, they'd apparently told the creditors. Take her. Isabel couldn't believe her own parents would do that to her. She became the mistress of some rich old man. At first, she resisted, but eventually she gave in, and from what I heard, even started to enjoy the lifestyle. She was spending the old man's money freely. One time, they were at a hotel together when Connor found out. He stormed the room and caught them in the act. The old man was just looking for some fun, not a commitment. As far as he was concerned, Isabel was a gift from her parents, a freebie he'd be a fool not to take. But now that she was married and bringing him trouble, he was done. He gave Isabel a beating, told her parents to pay back their debt immediately, and sent his thugs to beat up Connor. After the beating, Connor blamed the whole thing on Isabel. I heard he beat her so badly, she ended up in the hospital. From that day on, after finding out she was sleeping with other men, he treated her horribly. I saw Connor's social media. They used to post couple pictures, but now it was a constant stream of them tearing each other down. Connor wrote, if she hadn't seduced me, telling me I was the love of her life, I never would have believed her. I had no idea she was such a tramp. In his narrative, Isabel was a shameless cheater, a vile woman. He cast himself as the victim, and she, the disgraced heiress from a fallen family, became a target for every person on the internet with a grudge against the rich. Isabel became a social outcast, while Connor, seizing the opportunity, gained a wave of sympathy online. He was a good-looking guy, and soon enough, he had a legion of clueless female fans who despised Isabel with a passion. Connor used Isabel not only to paint himself as a victim, but also to launch a new career. In less than 3 days, his social media account had over 1 million followers. When Isabel heard about this, she lost it. She crashed one of his live streams. They forgot to turn off the camera and ended up having a massive screaming match in front of thousands of viewers. Isabel accused Connor of being a liar, saying he had taken her parents' money to leave the country, but was now pretending he'd been forced out. Connor fired back. You knew Liam was good to you, but you strung him along. You told me you loved me, but you were sleeping with an old man. Have you no shame? They just went at it. It was quite a show. Jake sent me the video. Bro, you're famous again, he texted. Everyone knows you're the world's biggest sucker. I ignored his teasing, but when people started tagging me online, I noticed something strange. Isabel was trying to use public opinion to make it seem like I still loved her. In our social circle, the story was old news. Everyone knew what Isabel had done, and they knew that even if I did still have feelings for her, we could never get back together. She was toxic. But some of her new online fans started tagging me. At Liam Sullivan, wow, you're so devoted. Even after everything she's done, you still love her. What a romantic. Why can't I find a man like that? Amidst these comments, Isabel made her own move. She posted a tearful video. I know I hurt Liam, she sobbed, perfectly made up and framed in flattering light. But I know he truly loves me. If I could ever have another chance with him, I would be so good to him. I would never let him be sad again. Jake saw the video and blew a gasket. Are you seeing this? Are you going to fight back? I thought for a moment. Just wait. You're not going soft on her, are you? I shot him a look. Was he insane? As if I would throw away what I had with Chloe for a toxic mess like Isabel. I didn't explain. Instead, I waited for the online chatter to reach its peak before making my move. I had no sympathy left for Isabel. If she wanted to self-destruct, I, as a good ex-boyfriend, was happy to help her along. I released the old videos of her and Connor together, along with a few clips of her treating me poorly. Then, I posted a comment from my own account. So let me ask you all, is this the kind of woman I should take back? The internet isn't stupid. People understood the sarcasm immediately and started tagging Isabel. LOL, your turn, girl. How do you respond to this? The online mockery was relentless. Isabel was humiliated. She contacted me immediately. What do you want from me? You should have thought about the consequences when you decided to drag me into your mess, I replied coolly. Then, I ignored her and officially announced my wedding to Chloe. Both Isabel and Connor were relentlessly ridiculed online. They disappeared from social media. I enjoyed the peace and quiet and asked Ryan to deliver one last message to Isabel. Leave me alone. After that, she really did vanish. The next time I heard about them, it was because Connor, who had become a kept man for a wealthy older woman, had been caught by her husband. I saw a video of Connor, his face a mess of tears and blood, getting beaten to a pulp. You son of a bitch, you think you can mess with my wife? The husband roared. You're finished in this city. The man beat Connor half to death. Connor was too scared to call the police. Even when bystanders did, he just told the cops it was all a misunderstanding. After that, Connor really did leave the city. Ryan told me, Liam, you can relax. This time, Connor is really gone for good. I just laughed. What did I care if he came back or not? Seeing my indifference, Ryan seemed confused. Liam, have you really forgotten Isabel? How many times do I have to say it? I was genuinely angry now. I had told Ryan over and over, but the man just wouldn't listen. I scowled at him. Are you deaf? Or just stupid? Seeing that I was serious, Ryan started to backpedal. But I wasn't giving him another chance to bring up their drama. I threw him out of my office and told him not to come back. Liam, we're old friends. A friend like you, I don't need. I knew every time Ryan brought up Isabel, it was because he wanted me to forgive her, to help her. But I had told him countless times that while I no longer hated her, I wanted nothing to do with her. My meaning was clear. By now, Chloe and I had passed her 1-month trial period. I was happy, truly happy. But seeing Ryan every day was starting to ruin it. After I threw him out, I made a public statement on all my social media. 1. I'm no longer friends with Ryan. He continually speaks on behalf of Isabel Montgomery and has tried to get me to help her. 2. There is no chance of a reconciliation between me and Isabel. Anyone who tries to meddle will lose me as a friend. 3. My wedding to Chloe Davis is in 1 month. All are welcome. I think anyone with half a brain got the message. Our parents were ecstatic and threw themselves into helping us with the wedding preparations. I have to say, having your parents' support in your marriage is a wonderful thing. With their help, Chloe and I had much less to worry about. That night, Chloe and I got home, exhausted but happy. Then, a call came from the police department. Someone had filed a report against me for sexual assault. I didn't even bother going down to the station. I asked who the accuser was. When they said it was Isabel Montgomery, I explained the whole situation to the officer on the phone. I'm very busy and very tired, I said. If you have evidence, come and arrest me. Otherwise, don't expect me to come to the station. I didn't mean to be rude to the police, but I was exhausted. This wasn't the first time Isabel had pulled a stunt like this. I was done playing her games. After a few more false alarms, the police seemed to understand why I was so resistant. They stopped taking her calls seriously. But then Isabel started spreading rumors online that she had been assaulted and the police were ignoring her. The police department, however, wasn't going to take that lying down. They issued a public statement about Isabel's history of filing false reports. The internet has a long memory. Everyone knew what kind of person Isabel was, and the public sympathy was with the police. I knew it was time for me to act. I sued Isabel for defamation, with a police statement as evidence. She had no choice but to admit her guilt. On my wedding day, I didn't expect Isabel to show up. She was filthy, her clothes torn, looking like she had been living in a dumpster. I frowned at the sight of her. Chloe stood calmly by my side. Isabel looked at us, her face streaked with tears, and let out a choked sob. Why? I shrugged. Oh, she wanted a wedding. Why are you making a scene? My words hit her like a physical blow. She staggered, nearly falling to the ground. I wrapped my arm around Chloe's waist. Isabel, I don't love you anymore, I said, my voice void of emotion. You should have known this would happen after all the times you lied to me, all the times you used me. But I regret it, she wailed. There's no magic pill for regret. Just because you regret it doesn't mean I have to take you back. I look her straight in the eye. Be honest, Isabel. If your life hadn't fallen apart, would you have ever thought of me? I'd like to think I treated you well, I continued, a bitter smile on my face. And after everything, for you to do this, it's just pathetic. Then, in front of her and everyone else, I turned to Chloe and kissed her deeply. Thank you for coming, I said to Isabel, my voice clear and steady. Chloe and I are getting married today. We're going to be happy for the rest of our lives. Isabel was escorted away by security. My wedding to Chloe was beautiful, surrounded by the blessings of everyone who truly mattered. A year later, our son was born. I never heard another word about Isabel Montgomery. Whatever happened to her, I knew one thing for sure. Our paths would never cross again.